We have counterfeiting, sometimes called quantitative easing, but counterfeiting by any other name. The artificial printing of money, which if any ordinary person did, they'd go to prison for a very long time. And yet governments and central banks do it all the time. Central banks repress the amount of interest that rates are, so we don't have the real cost of money. And yet we blame the real retail banks for manipulating LIBOR. The sheer effrontery of this is quite astonishing. It's central banks that manipulate interest rates, Commissioner. And plus, underneath all this, we talk loosely, in a rather cavalier fashion, do we not, about deposit guarantees. So when banks go broke through their own incompetence and chicanery, the taxpayer picks up the tab. It's theft from the taxpayer. And until we start sending bankers, and I include central bankers and politicians, to prison for this outrage, it will continue.
Wait a minute. That wasn't funny at all. What the hell? Yeah, that's true, admittedly. But this is exactly what makes cryptocurrency so amazing, for me at least, is the fact that it's a viable alternative to the central banking system. And it isn't really difficult to trade, bar gold or something. I also realize, lots of cameras, that I've been anything but consistent with my uploads, but I am gearing up to be back consistently, starting from today, probably. But speaking of consistency, the market cap is a lovely 350 billion. We haven't seen this high of a market cap in just about a month. That's really good. There's a few things that excite me about this type of consistency, and the main one is that the reason to buy Bitcoin is back. Although this isn't financial advice, the reason's back. And let me tell you what I mean. Let me change this cap. It's more my kind of mood, I guess. So there were, of course, many reasons to buy Bitcoin in the past. Plenty. I just talked about one of them. But for newcomers, there really wasn't. Not into something that's so volatile. So they were better off buying buying into like some sort of tracker bond, something like that. Yeah, a few percent a year might not sound very good to people like you and me, but it certainly sounds better than minus 50% losses, right? This type of growth is far more sustainable and far less likely to crash as hard the longer it goes on for. I mean, I love a flatlining vertically market as much as the next guy, but this is better, so that a lot of newcomers don't get burned. And looking at coins more specifically, you can call this the return of the altcoin news. The biggest gainer today is Monaco. It did peak at about 100% gains. Reason for it, likely due to listing on BitThumb and a Korean website launch today. As far as Bitcoin Private goes, Ledger has now announced support for Bitcoin Private, as well as Zencash. Zencash gets a mention. And speaking of Ledger, there's a new firmware update. It increases security, apparently, so you might want to check that out. But if you have a look at their roadmap and see what they're planning on implementing in the future, we have Lisk/Rise support, as well as IOTA support, and OneChain and Grosselcoin, in case you didn't know. Decred, Monero. Anyway, they're all here. Now, one coin I did want to talk about more fully was EOS and Verge. I'll get to Verge in a bit. Let's talk about EOS. I haven't talked about EOS in a while. As far as news goes, Bitfinex follows Binance in supporting the upcoming EOS mainnet token swap. If you weren't aware, EOS is a 350-day ICO that is coming to a close soon, and then you will swap your existing ERC20 tokens for the mainnet tokens. So the amount of money that EOS has been able to raise in the last 350 days close has been apparently $2.6 billion. Or assuming that they haven't been wash trading with the tokens that they've been getting in the ICO, the Ether tokens, they would have over 5 million of them, which is just over 5% of the total Ethereum supply. If we could point to one person that had over 5% of the Bitcoin supply, you know what we would say. That's actually what we can do. But anyway, assuming then that Dan Larimer has this amount, you can buy any company you wanted, almost any day of the week, and have them integrate EOS. So what I'm trying to hint at, I suppose, is a quite possible bright future. Now then, Verge. I'm going to close with Verge. Been in the news a lot lately. for better and for worse. A deal announced with Pornhub sees the price plummet before bouncing back up again. Is that just savvy traders selling the news? Or is it insider trading on Pornhub? This has led people to speculate that this whole thing has been pretty bad. Let's say, for example, you are a newcomer to crypto. You visit Pornhub just wanting to whatever, and instead you get some financial advice on the website and buy crypto for the first time. And then your investment plummets. I think this is a rather unlikely story, but you know it's happened to at least one or two. But should Pornhub be investigated for insider trading? I don't know. I really don't. Anyway, that's it for me today. I'll see you again tomorrow. Unless there's a lightning storm that strikes me or something. See you tomorrow.